Yes, Uncle Lou here. Yep, I had some coffee somewhere too. It's over here. Yep. Good morning. Worst Power 5 conference in America. Now, I discussed this with quite a few people earlier on Facebook. Yep. Now, I'm talking about right now or last season, which is the most recent what we have to go off of. The worst Power 5 conference in America right now, or as of last season. However you want to put it. I'm not talking about, the worst over the last 5 years or the worst since 2000 or whatever. I'm talking about right now. To me, this is just me, it's the ACC. Is there a worse Power 5 conference than the ACC? I don't think so. I really don't. And you know what? I honestly think there's one, possibly two non-Power 5 conferences that are better than the ACC right now, as of last year. The ACC is a dumpster fire. A dumpster fire. Now, whether you want to look at the top of the ACC or the bottom of the ACC, the argument can be made that from top to bottom, the ACC is overall the worst Power 5 conference in America. Period. Now, I know Clemson made the national title game last year, and that's what I'm going off of here is last year. But one team does not a conference make. Period. Clemson was a good team last year. Can't really say anything bad about them. Not taking anything away from Clemson. This isn't a knock on Clemson. The ACC is terrible. Listen to these 5 teams here I'm going to name for you right now. Boston College, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Virginia, Georgia Tech. Those 5 teams in the ACC are absolutely terrible. Terrible. They all had losing records last year. 5 teams with losing record in the ACC. Pathetic. I would put, is there any Power 5 team that those 5 teams couldn't potentially lose to? I don't think so. I don't think so. I know there's some bad ones in the Big 12. There's some bad ones in the Pac-12. There's bad ones in the Big 10. Hell, there's some bad ones in the SEC. But you know what? For my money, you take any of those 5 teams right there that I just named, Boston College, Syracuse, Wake, Virginia, and Georgia Tech. You take those 5 teams against any other 5 teams, Power 5, I'm putting my money on the other team. Period. Those teams are absolutely terrible. Terrible. Now look at the top. We already touched on Clemson. They had a good year, played for the title and lost. They had a good year. Who'd they beat in the ACC championship game? North Carolina. Woo! Woo! North Carolina. You mean to tell me that North Carolina is the second best team that the ACC has to offer? Pathetic and sad. Sad. Absolutely sad. The ACC ought to be embarrassed and ashamed that the second best team they can put up is North Carolina. You're talking about a team, North Carolina, that got beat last year by the South Carolina Gamecocks. How is that possible? How is that possible? South Carolina, which has sucked for 130 years, had one of their worst teams ever last year. South Carolina hasn't had a team as bad as last year since the very early 2000s and every single year in history before that. This was their worst team in 15 years, people. And they beat North Carolina. North Carolina scored 13 points against South Carolina. How's that possible? UGA put 52 on South Carolina with Grayson Lambert. South Carolina made Grayson Lambert look like Joe Montana. Grayson Lambert set NCAA records out to yin-yang against South Carolina. But all I hear about is North Carolina and how awesome their passing attack is and yada, yada, yada. 13 points you scored against the Gamecocks. That's pathetic. Pathetic. and that was your second best team. And then people want to argue, oh no, even though North Carolina played in the title, everybody knows FSU was the second best team. FS who? FSU? You mean the same FSU that lost to that 3-win Georgia Tech team? That FSU? The same FSU team that got humiliated by something called Houston in a bowl game? Now, arguments can be made at the Big 12 especially, and the Pac-12 especially, to me, are also really, really bad. But I'm telling you, for my money, the ACC is straight garbage. 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 I don't even know if they should be a Power 5 conference, honestly. There's a couple other conferences that are better than the ACC. That's just real talk. And people trying to argue with Uncle Lou, oh, you always about the SEC. Well, the SEC East ain't no good. Oh, yeah? What was the SEC East record in the bowl games last year? I'll hang up and listen. You say what you want, people. The SEC has the best record against other Power 5 teams. We have the best bowl record year in, year out. We set records in bowl games every year. You know, if you don't agree about the ACC, that's fine. But if you try to say the SEC, you're just a hater.